I didn't move to Silverton County to fight anybody. I moved here so the nights would smell like rain and the mornings like coffee. 3 days into retirement, a white envelope landed in my mailbox that said otherwise. Notice amount due, $100,000 thousand. They were trying to steal my land on paper. I'm Daniel Hayes. I bought 90 acres on a dirt road where the asphalt quits and the sky opens up cash, no mortgage, no fine print, just a title stamped and a handshake with a family who'd owned the ranch since before I was born. The first thing I did after signing was read the deed twice. The second thing I did was put the deed in a leather binder and pretend the rest of the world could go ahead and keep talking. I liked the quiet. The envelope was heavy embossed and had a signature at the bottom that curled like a sneer. Karen Mitchell, President, Maple Ridge Estates, HOA. The letter said my parcel lot 27B falls under the jurisdiction of their association and that 30 years of unpaid dues assessments and penalties, $100,000 were owed. It warned of foreclosure. For a minute I thought it was a joke. Then I read the sentence a third time and felt the coffee go bitter. Out here, there's no HOA unless the coyotes start holding meetings. The nearest subdivision is miles away. I called the number on the letter a syrupy recorded voice, and then I did the thing I always do: document. I notarized a response, attached a copy of my title, county plat maps with surveyor stamps, and mailed it certified. That should have been the end of it. Most mistakes are ended by a certified letter and a clerk who made a typo. 3 days later, another envelope showed up thicker this time. Inside, a glossy color map, updated boundary plan. Adopted 2016. The red line crawled north of the last paved road across my gate through my pasture and right across the creek near my barn. According to their map, my land belonged to Maple Ridge Estates now. They hadn't filed anything with the county. They hadn't recorded a survey. They had printed a map and hoped nobody would notice the difference between toner and truth. I drove into the county records office and sat with the duct-taped carpet and the sleepy clerk. He pulled up the official plat, and it matched my deed. Then he compared file metadata to the glossy map created 2016, uploaded from the HOA office Wi-Fi. The guy blinked, and I felt a switch flip in my chest from surprise to cold, methodical anger. This wasn't a sloppy mistake. This was a deliberate rewrite. That evening, I found a new chain across my gate, a heavy silver padlock, and a shiny aluminum sign bolted into the post. Property of Maple Ridge. Estates access restricted. No phone call, no warning. Just a chain someone had put up before dawn so they could tell me later that I was trespassing on my own land. I took pictures, left the chain where it was, and called the sheriff. Deputy Allen showed up with a practiced calm that said he'd smelled HOA drama before. It's civil until the court says otherwise, he told me. I felt the words like a slap. They'd drilled into my post. They'd trespassed. But the law, a slow thing, moved in its own time. For 3 nights I sat with my binder and the glow of a desk lamp pulling out every deed, every microfilm record I could find. I called Samuel Hart, the retired county surveyor. Old stubborn, the kind of man who measures things twice and swears by his chain. He walked the property lines with me the next morning, and he laughed, the sound dry as a windmill. They tried annexing this strip years back, he said. Judge threw it out. No, Daniel. Your land was never under Maple Ridge. He signed a short affidavit, stamped it with an old county seal, and handed it to me like handing me a weapon. I set up cameras, 3 of them. Motion-triggered, cloud-backed batteries topped off. I mounted a light over the gate. If they were going to play games, I wanted the game recorded. That night, the camera pinged at 5:48 a.m., and the feed opened to Karen Mitchell in yoga pants, flashlight in hand, walking up to my gate like she owned the road. She stopped, looked up, and flipped the bird straight at the lens. In 1080p. She was bold enough to be stupid. I took the clip to the sheriff's evidence unit. I handed them the fake map, the metadata printouts, Samuel Hart's affidavit, and the twist that made something cold and real settle under my ribs, a forged court notice she'd left taped to the gate. The next morning, summons with a judge's name I recognized from an obituary. Judge George Livingston, deceased 3 years. It was the kind of mistake only someone who thought nobody would look twice makes. The printer's serial number matched the HOA office. The ink pattern matched a model registered to their HOA copier. Fingerprints, Karen Mitchell's, on the envelope. For a few days after that, doubt crept in like fog. I won't pretend I didn't sit at the kitchen table and think, did I miss something? Did a prior owner sign? The idea of losing what you paid cash for, of having decades of work evaporate because of a piece of paper, makes a man ask the smallest, meanest question. What if I'm wrong? It's a quiet, humiliating fear. I let it sit there for a day, and then I did what I always do. I called someone who was used to making the law move fast. LaToya Ramirez answered on the second ring. She's the sort of lawyer people talk about in diner booths, sharp, no nonsense. The voice of a person who's eaten HOAs for breakfast and still wanted more. We met with the binder, which by that point felt like a small Bible of proof. LaToya's plan was clinical injunctive relief, first to keep them off the land, then hand the binder to the DA for criminal charges, forgery, falsification of records, trespass. Panic makes mistakes, she said. Let her panic. We let her panic. The next public stage was the Forest Creek Unity Fair, a syrupy name for what was really just a tent and folding chairs in their HOA parking lot. Karen stood at a canopy cream blazer, the practiced smile of someone who'd spent years turning small rules into revenue. I walked up with a portable monitor in hand, LaToya at my side, and I told her I'd be brief. I wasn't. I pulled up maps side by side, the county plat stamped and filed, and the glossy red-lined forgery. I ran the metadata, the print logs, the affidavit, then clicked the clip. There she was at dawn, middle finger up, moonlight in her eyes. People around the tent went quiet at the same time. What started as polite applause for the fair turned into murmur after murmur. One man shouted about strange fees. Another held up a phone with his own stack of unpaid notices. People were connecting dots they hadn't known they'd been missing. She tried to talk her way out misinformation out of context, but LaToya slid an envelope across the table and said calmly, "This binder is with the county prosecutor. You should probably sit down." The room smelled like coffee and surprise. The board looked around, and for the first time I saw discomfort where there had been authority. You could see the seams. A week later, Assistant District Attorney Weaver came with 2 deputies to a special meeting. He read the charges: forgery, falsification of public records, tampering with property rights, criminal trespass. Karen laughed, first a brittle, unreal sound, then screamed that they were persecuting her. The handcuffs clicked. The sound of those cuffs was the cleanest, sharpest thing in the room. She went out with her chin lifted like she didn't expect gravity to care. The judge didn't need drama. Evidence had weight. The court dissolved Maple Ridge Estates' charter froze accounts, ordered restitution, and approved a class action for the hundreds who'd been fined, threatened, or lied to. The HOA's office assets were liquidated, and in a small, quiet auction I bought the building. I gutted it, painted the walls a soft green, and opened the Hayes Center for Rural Property Rights, a place for folks to come in and learn to read a plat, to hold their deeds like family photographs, to not be bullied by a stack of falsified pages. I don't tell you this as victory fanfare. I tell you because there's a simple, dull truth in it. People who hide behind bylaws and stamps rely on the idea that you won't look. They rely on your willingness to walk away. If you can't bear the thought of the fight, you'll fold. I almost folded, I won't hide that. But when you put evidence in order, when you let the law do its job, paper cuts both ways. She sat in the back seat of a cruiser as the sun went down, handcuffed mouth moving. I stood on the steps of a community center, no longer hers, and felt something like relief, not loud, not proud, just a quiet person who'd kept hold of his border. The cameras I'd set up were on the evidence table. The fake map was a single exhibit among many. The binder closed with a soft snap. Paper can be used to steal a life, or it can be used to prove one. Do the work. Back it up. Stand your line. Stand your line.